How do you stay sane in a world gone mad? One word: equanimity. Hi, I'm Yvonne, host of Silver Sisters, your community, a community for women just like you who want to make the rest of their life the best of their life. I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so subscribe, tune in, connect.
I am a super genius!
You know, at times I had to question my own sanity about starting a channel with everything that's going on in the world right now. Shouldn't I be out picketing? But I learned that it's so important to take care of your inner strength in order to be effective in the outside world. And like Cher says, who's on my informal board of advisors, the only thing in the world you can change is yourself. And when you change that, everything in the world changes. It doesn't mean we don't care, and it doesn't mean we don't take action. It just means that we have an inner core of unchanging stillness in us. That unchanging core of stillness is equanimity. So what is equanimity? Equanimity is a state of mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in difficult or challenging times. So what does Sarah Connor of Terminator 2 have to do with all of that? It may seem like a huge non sequitur, given all the talk of peace and calmness, but I can't help thinking of Sarah Connor in Terminator 2. Sarah Connor is a powerful, iconic character who embodies the struggle to prepare herself for a future that seems out of control. She's transforming herself physically, mentally, and emotionally because she knows that difficult times are ahead and she wants to be strong enough to face it. She has a fierce, determined resolve not just to survive, but to take control in a world that's spiraling into chaos. Strength doesn't come from ignoring reality, but from facing it in a controlled way. Yes, we're in a climate of uncertainty and distress. And while we can't control the world around us, we can control how we respond. Equanimity gives us the power to navigate challenges with our inner strength. So here's a story about remaining calm amidst chaos. I once worked for a manager, we'll call her Peggy because that's her real name. Peggy used to have hissy fits during the day, and I mean tyrants. Like, she would go off on someone, fortunately never me, but I shared a cubicle wall with her, and so I was on the other side of all of this anger and craziness, and it would take me a good 45 minutes to recover before I could get back to my work. So I knew that I would never survive in this environment, and I really needed this job unless I did something to change the way I reacted. So when I was at home at night, I would do this. I would say to myself over and over again, the crazier she gets, the calmer I'll be. The angrier she gets, the calmer I'll be. And I did that over and over again, and I got into the feeling of being calm. And so the next time at work that she had her little hissy fit, she just went off on this poor older gentleman that worked for us. He'd been there forever, and she'd only been there 2 or 3 years. And she just went off on him right in front of me. And I just remained completely calm. And so it worked. So that is a way to address, the chaos in your world. Just tell yourself, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. And I am definitely not perfect at this. I am a work in progress. Here's another story that doesn't make me look too good. There is a wonderful documentary out. It's probably only available on DVD now, but it was by 𝗃𝗃𝗏𝗃. 𝗃𝗃𝗏𝗃 is the director of Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and several other sort of funny comedy, farcy kind of movies. Well, Tom got into a bicycle accident, and it was a near-death experience. He ended up in a hyperbaric chamber, and in that chamber, he told himself if he ever got out, he was going to do something that was more meaningful. And so when he got out, he decided to do a documentary, which was eventually called I Am. And in this documentary, he was going to go around and interview all of the great brains and great hearts and great scientists and great philosophers and great metaphysicists and great politicians and great civil rights activists and ask them these questions. What's wrong with this world and what can I do about it? And if you've never seen the movie, it just gives you goosebumps watching it. It's a fantastic, feel-good, life-affirming documentary. So I highly recommend it if you haven't ever seen it. Well, I saw it, and I was so moved by it that I wanted my boys to see it too. And they were probably 10, 11 at that time. But it had stopped playing in my area, so I had to drive 45 miles away to see it. But it was worth it to me to have my boys have this experience. I wanted them to know that we are made for connection. So we get to the movie theater, and we are the only people in the theater. We sit right in the middle of the theater. Right before the movie starts, a couple comes in. And where do they sit? Right in front of us. Okay, you have a whole theater to yourself and you decide to sit right in front of us. Okay, I was a little concerned because my boys, being the age they were, weren't really tall, and I was afraid they were going to miss some of the movie. But I just let it slide. I let it slide. And a few minutes into the movie, the man of the couple turns around and says directly to my son, "Could you stop chewing your popcorn so loud?" And I lost it. So in the middle of this, beautiful movie that is supposed to be all about connection, I said to the man, "You have this entire theater to sit in, and you sit right in front of us and complain about how he's eating his popcorn?" And my sweet son, Sam, said, "Mom, I can chew softer." And I'm like, "No, you shouldn't have to." And I can't quite remember what happened after that. I mean, the guy turned back around. I don't think they moved. I don't think we moved. And the rest of the movie played. But I wasn't really showing my boys inner peace and equanimity. So I'm definitely not perfect. So here are some ways to cultivate equanimity. Practice mindful breathing. Take a moment out of your day to sit with your breath. No matter what's going on in your workday or your family life, just take that time. Breathe deeply for 10 breaths. Even 4 is enough to make a difference. Just concentrating on your breath helps shut out the noise of the world for a moment. There's a story of a young trainee monk who asked his wise trainer monk how long each day he should meditate. 1 hour a day, came the answer. The young trainee said, "But I don't have that kind of time, 1 hour a day." And so the older monk said, "Oh, then for you I would suggest 2 hours a day." And of course the lesson there is we need to make that time. And if we feel we don't have that time, that's when we absolutely need it. Self-compassion. We all hear this all the time, and it's sometimes so hard to do. Be kind to yourself. Listen to your inner dialogue. Would you say what you're saying to yourself to someone you love? It's okay to feel anger, frustration, or fear, but it's important not to let those emotions define us or rule our actions. Acceptance. Acceptance of what's out of control can be liberating. Acceptance does not mean approval. It means acknowledging what is. The Sufi have a saying, "This too shall pass." But a wise woman I know said, we shouldn't be too quick to say, "shall pass." We should just sit with it, with what is first, and just say, "and this too." This too shall pass can sometimes be a way of pushing away and resisting the present moment, of rushing through some kind of difficulty. But just sitting with it and saying, "and this too," is just pure acceptance. It makes room for whatever is happening right now. It's not waiting for the storm to pass, but being able to stand in it and say, "and this too." It's a subtle but powerful shift. Focus on what you can control. These are things like what you eat, how much alcohol you consume, who you spend your time with, how much news you consume. I found myself getting depressed around January. I was unhappy with the political scene. I was unhappy with the human crisis. I was unhappy with the number of homeless people, and so many people were hurting, and I couldn't do anything about it, and it hurt my soul. But what I was feeding my mind and soul were online political YouTube channels, the news, and for relaxation, true crime. So no wonder. So I turned all of that off, and I just began focusing on things that uplift me. It doesn't mean I'm ignoring what's going on out there. I just have to take care of my mental health first before I can do anything about it. Gratitude practice. We all know, probably we all know, that Oprah is a huge believer in gratitude practice, and it is really powerful. There's always something to be grateful for. So focus on the things that bring you joy, peace, and love. The more we can live in equanimity, the more our long-term benefits will apply. These are things like aging gracefully, reducing stress, improving our physical, mental, and emotional health. As I said before, it's not about getting rid of the external chaos, but choosing how we interact with it. Creating our own internal peace that stays with us no matter what. I'm not sure if this will help, but I think it applies. I once saw a counselor about a relationship I was in, and I said something like, I just don't know if I can trust him. And I think we kind of all feel that way about the state of the world right now. We just don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we can trust what's going to happen, that our lives will never, be okay again. What the counselor said to me was, Yvonne, trust is not knowing that the other person won't hurt you. Trust is knowing that you will be okay no matter what. And I have carried that with me forever. And I remember that, and I think about that, even in today's troubling times, without a relationship to worry about. I think of that, and it carries me through. Thanks for joining me, Silver Sisters. Remember that our strength comes from within, just like Sarah Connor. But it also comes from connection, like our community of Silver Sisters. Please like, subscribe, and please be an active member here. Remember that old age ain't for sissies, it's for sisters. And I'll see you soon. In other words, I'll be back.